Today we're going to have a look at some T-junctions. A T-junction, quite simply, is a junction in the shape of a T. Our road continues up here, and this road in front has priority over us coming out. Recognising the junction is really important as always, first of all. If you look at the sign on the left, give way. These markings on the floor also mean give way. And what we need to do if it's a give way is slow down, give way to the traffic on the major road up here, from either side or both sides. If it is clear, however, we can continue. You don't have to stop when it's a give way. There is also a stop junction. If you notice, the sign's different and the line's different. At a stop junction, your view is going to be restricted and you won't be able to see as much, and what you must do is come to a complete stop. Make your mind up and then decide on what to do. If there are no markings on the road, you treat it like a give way. So the recognition's done. We then put into practice our routine on the approach, which as always is mirror, signal, position, speed and look. Mirror checks first of all when we're turning left. Checking our normal mirrors for turning left, the centre one to see who's behind, the left one to see whether anyone's catching up on the left side. If we were turning right, it would be the centre mirror and the right mirror. Signal is the next thing. Put your signal on again as early as we can without being misleading. Make sure there's no side entrances where your signal could mean that you're going to go into here rather than the junction up at the top. That applies to right as well. Your position that you take up is exactly the same as turning left and turning right from major to minor. It's a normal position to the left, a door's width away from the left curb, or if the lane's narrow, in the middle of the lane. If we were turning right, the position we would take up would be left of centre. We'd come up to the centre line and then stay nice and straight all the way up to the give way line. Just going back to your position for turning left, if you are turning left, make sure that you do follow the curb as you come up to the give way line. Even if you have to stop, you still need to be steered around this left side following the curb. So we have done our mirrors, our signal and a position. Speed wise, it does depend on a few extra things. Yes, it's on how sharp this corner is, and width of the road is also important, but it's also on how much we can see to this side and across to the other side. If these green areas were fields, we could see across, and that's what we call an open junction. At an open junction, we could slow it down, we could maybe make our mind up here, and probably for something like that you could choose second gear, bring the clutch up, and then you could emerge out safely. However, if these grassed areas or green areas weren't grass and they were buildings, you couldn't see until you were really close and up towards the give way line. For something like that, what we're going to be doing is slowing it right down to less than walking speed, about a car length before the give way line. We're going to choose first gear and then we're going to creep up to the give way line, giving us time to actually look and make our decision. How we do the creep is we'll set the gas, we'll find the bite and just edge up at this less than walking speed pace. If your car goes too fast, dip the clutch down the thickness of a pound coin. That will slow you down a little. If the car goes too slow and stops, lift the clutch up the thickness of a pound coin, and that's going to enable your car to keep creeping. So remember, as slow as we can, rolling into first gear and then peeping and creeping up towards the line. When we're at the line, or as we're coming up to the line, we've got to do our look. We're looking a minimum look of right, left, right, and then left. And what we've got to make sure is that we're not causing any cars on the main road in either direction any problems. This includes pedestrians as well. If a pedestrian was setting foot out onto the road, you've got to make sure you're aware of them as well. So it's not just cars that we're looking for, it's any other road user. We've got to decide whether or not we've got enough time to move out into this road without making these cars change speed or direction. That takes a little more time than crossing the path. If you feel, however, you are stood at the front of your car and you could walk to the centre line of the road, turn round and walk back to the pavement without making these cars change speed or direction, you can emerge. Keep checking as you're going, and then in the new road again, check your mirrors before you accelerate away. If you're turning right, the same things apply. You know your mirrors, you know your signal, you know your position towards the centre line, is it open or closed, you know you slow down into first if needed and then peep and creep. But then we've got a decision to make. It's not just the cars from the right that we're fitting into, we're actually crossing the path of these vehicles and then fitting in and emerging with these. So it's a little bit different. If we felt as though we could walk from the front of our car to the middle line, we can deal with these vehicles. But don't forget, we've got to deal with both sides. So to emerge and to fit in with traffic on the left, if we feel as though we could walk the rest of the way, turn round and walk back to the middle, we could then deal with these cars also. So the whole thing is across to the other side of the road, back to the middle, and if we feel we could do that without causing any car to change speed or direction, we can go. You should be looking over here to do the right turn. And once you get into new road, same things, check your mirrors, assess the vehicles that are all around you and ahead of you, and then accelerate to suit. All these briefings are used on the iPad with apps produced by a guy called Neal Beaver. I use these apps on a daily basis. They're quite simply the best on the market. I'm not being paid to say this about these apps. I would turn around and recommend these apps to anyone learning to be a driving instructor.